Revelations old charges could come back to haunt Renee Lawrence when she returns to Australia.
I'm not sorry. A man retracts his remorse over the killing of Curtis Cheng.
Police hunting the hapless thieves who targeted a Central Coast service station.
And all revved up, fans flock to Coffs Harbour for the start of Rally Australia.
This is NBN News with Paul Lobb and Natasha Beyersdorf.
Good evening, those stories in a moment, but first to some breaking news in rugby league concerning one of the game's biggest stars, Jarryd Hayne. Reporter Danny Widler can reveal tonight that Jarryd Hayne is under police investigation after a woman made allegations of sexual assault against him.
On grand final night, while the Roosters were ruling the rugby league world, Jarryd Hayne was in the Hunter region on a night out. Nine News has confirmed the Sex Crime Squad have taken charge of an investigation into what occurred that night. It's alleged that Hayne went to a house to meet a woman he'd been in touch with on social media. The pair allegedly had sex, and the woman claims she suffered injuries during their encounter. Nine News has talked to the woman's family, who are furious about the matter. The family says the woman went to a doctor and has photographic evidence to support her claims. Police have interviewed the woman, as well as witnesses who came into contact with Hayne that night. No charges have been laid, and Nine News does not suggest that Hayne is guilty of any offence, only that police are investigating the claims. Hayne's agent, Wayne Beavis, had no knowledge of the police interest in his client. Hayne is currently defending a civil case in the United States where a woman is accusing him of raping her whilst he was playing for the San Francisco 49ers, claims he has strongly denied. Hayne is currently not signed to an NRL club for next season. Danny Widler, NBN News.
Freedom might be over before it's even begun for Renee Lawrence, just days out from her release from a Bali prison.
The convicted drug smuggler was allegedly involved in a pursuit that ended on the Central Coast before her ill-fated trip to Indonesia, and New South Wales police haven't forgotten.
Nearly 14 years in jail and out next Wednesday. Renee Lawrence must have thought she'd done the hard yards. But when she lands in Australia on Thursday morning, her past will come back to haunt her. Just before she left for Bali back in 2005, Lawrence was charged after a high-speed car chase with police. It's alleged she and fellow Bali 9 mule, Matthew Norman, stole a car in Enfield in Sydney's inner west. The chase ended on the Central Coast after police were forced to use road spikes. She's yet to face court on a string of charges relating to the chase.
What a court will do, I don't know. I'm sure they will take into account what she's already been through, but they are going to have to deal with the matters in some way or other, because otherwise general deterrence for stealing cars won't be made out.
Lawrence and 8 others were arrested in Bali for trying to smuggle 8.2 kilos of heroin out of Bali. Lawrence was the lucky one. She was given 20 years and was able to notch up yearly discounts on the sentence. The ringleaders, Sukumaran and Chan, were executed. Tan Nguyen died of cancer. The 5 others are in jail for life. Renee Lawrence knows she's facing the charges on her return here to Sydney. It may help to explain why she says she's feeling apprehensive about coming home. The jail governor is full of praise for Lawrence, saying she is disciplined and friendly. She's experienced a lot in 14 years. Rubbing shoulders with Chappelle Corby, watching fellow smugglers Chan and Sukumaran carted off to be shot by firing squad. An appearance in Gosford Court on the old charges, another setback for the woman who wished she was home scot-free. Mark Burrows, NBN News.
The family of murdered police accountant Curtis Cheng has already endured too much, but today it was hit with another heartbreaking insult. At his sentence hearing, one of the men involved in Mr. Cheng's death withdrew his apology.
When Malabatai took the stand in September, he apologised to the Cheng family and said if he could go back in time, he'd stop it from happening. Less than a month later, from his Goulburn cell, he wrote to Australia's Federal Police saying he wasn't sorry or regretful. I take back what I said in the box because I was in the heat of the moment and I just slipped up. Let the judge know about this letter and I want him to know where I stand with this remorse bull. They ask Allah to grant victory to the believers and to destroy those who oppress his slaves.
I think we're feeling intensely saddened and frustrated that this has happened.
A second letter, written to Crown Prosecutor Paul Maguire. I wasn't being truthful. I don't want any discount regarding remorse. The court heard that Atai is so comfortable with his decision that when he was told he faces a lengthy sentence, his reply was that he would cope. He'd spend the time reading the Quran and talking to his wife. Not once throughout today's hearing did he stand for the judge. Atai's family was in court but said nothing outside. The 22-year-old has already been convicted for helping Fahar Jabbar, who shot New South Wales police accountant Curtis Cheng in 2015. Atai will be sentenced next Friday. Peter Stefanovic, NBN News.
Unborn children killed during a criminal act will be recognised by new laws being promised by the New South Wales Premier. It came as a man who lost his wife and unborn twin boys in a car crash spoke out in support of Zoe's Law, which was presented to Parliament today for the first time.
It's a moment that changed Bronco Huang's life forever.
In late December, I lost my wife, my sister, and my twin sons.
Catherine Huang was 38 weeks pregnant with twins when her car was hit by an alleged drunk driver.
The current law only allows for the loss of an unborn child to be recognised as an injury to the mother.
That crash again raised the prospect of Zoe's Law, a bill by Reverend Fred Nile that would make it a crime to cause injury or death to a fetus. Speaking on Ray Hadley's morning show on 2GB, Bronco Huang supported it.
I intended to bury 4 people, not 2. I did not bury my wife and 2 injuries. I buried my wife and my unborn twin son.
Not the church, not the state. Women will decide our fate.
But others don't, fearing Reverend Nile's motives.
And it's got a completely different agenda when it comes to reproductive rights.
They're concerned that by giving legal personhood to fetuses, the bill will result in women and possibly their doctors. The bill will result in women and possibly their doctors facing prosecution if their unborn child is harmed, such as when pregnancies are terminated, even as a result of rape. The government also has reservations about Zoe's Law because of the unintended consequences that might occur. So the Premier's proposing her own legislation if she's re-elected next year.
It is very complex. If it was easy, it would have happened before. But I also want to ensure that we protect the rights of women.
The Premier says she'll seek the advice of medical and legal experts before drafting the legislation. Eddie Meyer, NBN News.
A man charged over a deadly accident on Stockton Bridge today faced court in Newcastle. 46-year-old David Evans is accused of causing the August crash, which led to the death of another driver.
3 months ago, David John Evans was involved in a fatal 4-car crash. Today, he faced court, charged over it. His appearance was brief, with the 46-year-old remaining silent both during and after proceedings. He's accused of causing the death of 57-year-old Joseph Gregory Cordner, who died when his utility went up in flames on the Stockton Bridge in August. Evans is facing 3 charges: dangerous driving occasioning death, negligent driving occasioning death, and causing bodily harm by misconduct. The Belmont man was travelling along Nelson Bay Road when his Ford Falcon allegedly collided with a Toyota Camry. His car then slammed into an oncoming utility, which in turn collided with a BMW. That utility, driven by Mr. Cordner, burst into flames. The 57-year-old suffered critical burns and died at the scene. Evans remains on bail and is required to report to police at least once a week as part of his conditions. He'll return to Newcastle local court in January. Tyson Cottrell, NBN News.
A man's faced court in Newcastle after allegedly being found with a revolver in his waistband. Strike Force Raptor North officers claim to have made the discovery following a vehicle stop at New Lambton last night. They also allegedly found a shotgun in the boot of the car, which the 23-year-old was a passenger in. He's facing 10 firearm and 2 drugs charges.
Newcastle has missed out on hosting the 2021 Women's Rugby World Cup, with World Rugby awarding the tournament to New Zealand. Rugby Australia says it will continue to grow the women's game, and that could see another bid for the showpiece event in 2025.
We're beaten, but we're not defeated. City of Newcastle, we're keen to go again in 4 years' time. We'll soon start those conversations with Rugby Australia. We believe that we have not just the best city in Australia, which Rugby Australia agrees with, but that we have the best city in the world when it comes to hosting women's sport.
The 2021 event in New Zealand will be the first time the tournament has been played in the Southern Hemisphere.
Next Thursday, Newcastle Airport will welcome international passengers through its gates for the first time since 2002. Security personnel and Border Force have spent a long time preparing, and today NBN News was given a look behind closed doors.
Newcastle Airport is close as to having flights to New Zealand take off. A week before passengers arrive, passports in hand, the high security that comes with international travel has moved in.
In 2015 we did a terminal redevelopment and it was being thought of then, and over the last 6 months it's been a Herculean effort.
Airport security will be a joint effort between the Border Force, Police and Biosecurity Australia. However, it's the first time New South Wales Police have been given sole responsibility for policing an international airport.
We work very closely with the AFP. We've had officers down at Sydney Airport, we've had AFP officers up here with us, so there's been a lot of planning, a lot of preparation go into policing Newcastle Airport, which we have done in the past anyway. We're also looking at things like drug importation, we've got considerations regarding family law court, money laundering, that sort of thing.
Arrival and departure areas have been designed to use for international and domestic passengers, while facilities for questioning people and hosing off muddy shoes from overseas are all part of the security overhaul.
When the international terminal isn't being used, it will handle regular domestic departures by what's called a swing gate. This comes with security risks, but Border Force say it's got the situation covered.
At the conclusion of an international flight, and essentially we will hand that terminal back to Newcastle Airport itself, all of our equipment, etc., is locked away.
Georgia Marr, NBN News.
The Lower Hunter's growing demand for energy has led to Ausgrid to establish a major new hub at Beyersdorf. Around 80 staff have been relocated from Maitland and Rutherford to the new depot on Weekleys Drive. Situated close to major roads, including the New England Highway, the centre will house response and repair teams to tackle outages and emergencies. It's part of a wider investment program by Ausgrid.